Hello everyone, welcome to our first live podcast back together now that we're not separated and going through a crazy move. I had been listening to podcasts again and I was like, you know what, we should just do another video tonight. So we're going to do another video tonight and we're going to try and do them every Monday night, I think. Okay. Maybe not making specific commitments because we got a lot going on, but We'll try and do them as best we can. Poor wireless connection. All right, I'm going to pause this. Not pause it, but I'm going to do something real quick. Turn that on.
There we go.
Okay, hold on. Sorry for that. Stay.
We're troubleshooting.
Yeah, well, we're in a new environment, and the Wi-Fi isn't perfect. So, anyways, so we have a few topics we're going to talk about today. A lot of it is about the transition and kind of what we've been going through and doing and what our plans are. Then we kind of have a lighthearted topic at the end. So, let's start with the move. We moved, if you didn't know or you didn't realize why we've been away for so long, it's because we moved from South Carolina, where we'd been living for a long time, to Maine, and where we grew up, where we've kind of met. Mm-hmm. So this is where our family was. So let's talk about why did we move. I don't know if we talked about this before, why we were moving or why we decided to move.
Well, I really just wanted to be near family again.
Yeah, we had been homesick for being around with family for a while. I have no idea who's watching because it's not telling me. So go ahead and say hello or whatever.
It's fine. We don't have to.
For one point, we wanted to say we want to be around family again. But the real bottom line reason is it was my plan to get ordained down south, and we didn't know if we wanted to start a church or kind of become part of a church that was looking for a pastor. And we felt the best thing for us is not to wait around for a situation to arise down south for us to fall into a church, but to start one up here. We felt that the need was higher up here, so that was a big deal.
So when we decided though, like when we were kind of shown that it was time for us to move, was during Hurricane Matthew. Yeah. And we had to evacuate where we lived. So on the drive, both of us were secretly hoping, without telling the other, that our house in South Carolina would be squashed and washed away, and then we'd be forced to come up here. And then we're like, well, if we're thinking about that, then why are we even here?
Right. Well, the other thing was, at one point, we were wondering what we'd do, and when we realized our plans for what we do would be come up to Maine, well, we might as well just go ahead and do it, if that was part of our plan anyways. Yeah.
So we are incredibly thankful for our family. His brother and his wife put us up. They housed him since January. Yeah. And they housed us all summer. And we actually move in next week. We rented a place, so yeah, we move in next week. Yay!
So we won't be homeless anymore. Actually, we're filming from their kitchen today. So, again, we were gonna wait until we had our own place, but
he got excited.
I got excited. So, so what are for you the hardest parts of moving, or the move in general, or being apart?
Okay, so I got a list. One of them was getting the house ready to sell. In case you haven't know, my father-in-law, his dad, lived with us for 5.5 years, and he took up a bedroom. And between him and 3 kids and me, we had a lot of stuff. So I had a lot of cleaning I had to do. I had a lot of dump runs and thrift stores and selling stuff. And it was just hard because up until the end of May, I worked full-time also. So, and then he was gone since January. So I was doing all that by myself with the kids. And then parenting them without him around was kind of hard. I mean, we kind of saw it once we got back together that like meal times were definitely, I let things go. Chose my battles.
That's pretty much the same, whether it's moving. Well, that part is pretty much the same as it has been whenever we're apart for long periods of time.
Like deployment stuff. You choose your battles.
So, downsizing and parenting, was there anything else that you had a list? Is that the list of 2?
the list of things that I had to do that involved downsizing and making our house pretty and then selling it and then being stressed out about this thing and that thing. But it did sell. We closed at the beginning of this month, and so there's a new young guy.
Yeah, the 3-bedroom house.
4-bedroom.
4-bedroom house, which is pretty sweet.
But whatever. Goodbye for him. So,
Yeah.
And thank you for us. So.
Yeah. For me personally, my diet suffered. And honestly, it
If you
seems
looked at
like
our
a
checking account, you'd...
weird thing, but you know, having regular meals at home and having even, you know, I guess it's weird to expect a lunch to be packed, but having that little aspect of that helped a lot when you're around and when you're not around, just that adjustment. I didn't stay with my brother and my sister-in-law for the entire time. I was kind of bouncing around to try and make the burden of having me live with somebody easier on my family. So I bounced around a little bit. So that made things difficult. And not having anything really to look forward to after work. You just come home and you're going through a grind. And that's pretty much typical every time we're apart. So what about some of the nightmares of selling a house, which is the first house we've sold? Buying a house is a nightmare. We already knew the process was a pain, but for those people who haven't sold a house, what kind of recommendation would you give to them?
I mean, I don't know. I think the most frustrating part was after the offer came. So then we had the inspection, and there was a piddly little list of little silly things that they wanted to have fixed, which wasn't the seller, it was the loan, you know, provided, what was it, FDA loan or something like, FDA loan or whatever. They were extremely picky, but like switching around, like fixing a switch plate on a door, replacing a lock on a window, like the little thing had snapped. I mean, it still worked, but just little teeny tiny little things like that. Just like, these are so little, really? You cannot buy a house? Okay, whatever.
If your window latches don't latch.
I mean, they did latch, but
you had to use...
It needed to be prettified.
Yeah.
So, whatever. That was... And then the termite inspection goes down there. It was pretty common. So I was like, oh, please do not let us have termites, because that is an expensive fix. And we didn't. We were good. So, yay.
I think one of the scariest thing was just having fleas, too. Because our dog was displaced because every time someone had to show it, we had to...
So we brought him to the kennel. I mean, he got fleas from the kennel. And we didn't know until after I had left and like the house was still being shown and stuff.
And then we had fleas in the house because we left, and then we had to call. It was just, that was a pain. That was probably the biggest nightmare. And then we had fleas up here. And then we had to take care of my brother's house and take that care. So
we brought them to the house we were staying.
That was probably, but that's not a typical thing, I guess. But that was the biggest stressor for me, at least.
That was annoying.
I don't like dealing with that stuff. So.
Well, plus we paid people to come spray, so.
Right, which is expensive. So one of the additions of us being kind of in a transitional phase, we've decided this year that we're going to do things differently school-wise. For the first time since I've been out of the military, we can afford Bethany to be home and not have to work, which if she wanted to work, she could, but she doesn't have to anymore, which is good, because previously she had to work in order for us to pay our bills. Now I'm in a position where that doesn't have to occur. So in that transition, have also decided we're going to homeschool, which is pretty much a transition to this next topic. Previously, we talked about how the expectation, I think, for a pastor and his wife is to homeschool their kids, and how we were not necessarily anti-homeschool, but it just at that time wasn't the right fit for us. And I think now that we're up here, things are a little bit different. So first, we're going to talk about why we're homeschooling. So I'll let you start. My back itches.
Nice. Well, one of the reasons was I just wanted to be able to control what was being taught to them, and where our society is becoming more and more socially liberal, some topics, I just wanted to be able to control how it was exposed to the kids and explained to them. And when they're in school, there's very little control of that. And I kind of forget what I was saying to you. Sorry, it's getting late.
No, that's all right.
I'm sorry. I ran today.
Yeah.
It wasn't a long time, but...
Which I guess is part of it. Could be something else too. But so yeah, for me personally, I think that we're up here now, and since we didn't know where we were going to move, we didn't want to rush into where they were going to go to school. although Bethany and I both went to the Sanford public school system, and we turned out fairly okay. A little bit crazy, but mostly okay. We figured we weren't confined to doing that, so that was one thing. The second thing is we couldn't really afford, we didn't know if we could afford, or would be in a location that was good for a private school.
Well, if we did private school, I would have to work.
Right.
In order for them to go.
Right.
And so I'd be working to put them in the school.
Right. And since we're both education majors, and she's almost graduated and I'm not even close, we figured it would be better if we just homeschooled the kids. It wasn't going to be a problem. The other thing is, kind of along the same lines as Bethany already said, is that, in order to, but down south there's a lot of people, there's already a couple comments, there's a lot of people down south who,
oh, hi.
hi April, there's a lot of people down south who, that generally is accepted that Christianity is kind of the norm. Even if the public school system isn't recognizing Christianity, to have people in Christianity is the norm. So when my kids are talking about going to church or talking about those things, it's not such a surprise. And up here, it's not the norm. Although there are churches and there are people that go to church, I call them like holiday church attenders, like Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, those types. And it's not just a lifestyle the way it is up here. And people, teachers and students could both be confused about Christian-related opinions on topics. So that's the other reason. What are some of the challenges you expect for homeschooling for the first time?
Patience. I don't have a lot of it. Not with our own kids. I have oodles of patience with other people's kids, but mine,
I'm the opposite. I was walking around with our niece, and my brother told me, and she's young, she's like 6 months, and my brother told me she doesn't like other men very much. And I said, well, that's okay, because I don't like other people's kids very much. So we have a mutual understanding as far as it's concerned. And we got along fine. She didn't cry or fuss or anything. But I have a lot of patience with our own kids, but not other people's kids.
We balance each other out then.
Yeah.
Perfect. So.
But I'm the one that's going away, and you're the one teaching them. So
it's okay. I just really need some alone, quiet time, even from them. So, but I have a plan.
Yeah, I think one of the things that will help the lack of patience is having a structure, so that's good. I think one of the challenges will be them being around each other all the time.
Yeah.
They, even right now, the dynamic between Moses and Sonny is kind of complicated, and Gwen and the other two are kind of, it's just going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Definitely going to be an adjustment to being around each other all the time.
And the typical things, the things that everybody worries
plus the house
about.
we're renting is small. So
yeah, that's true. But
and
then the other things,
of each other.
just about everybody homeschooling is socialization and how we're.
It's true. I got to figure out ways to get them out there. So.
Yeah. Again, homeschool is a good option. It's just has to be good for your family. Has to be something that fits with what you're doing, your dynamic. And public school can be done. Like, we sent our kids to public school, and when difficult things arose, we just had to be very aware of putting those things in perspective for them. So it is a viable option, and you can do it. And this is where I'm going to talk about a little bit about curriculum, and I'm going to caveat this with this point because Bethany brought this up before we started. People can be very protective of what choices they make, or opinionated even. And we're very specific on why we picked what we did, and mostly, I gotta say, because of money. We couldn't afford to send our kids to a private school, which is what we really kind of wanted to do. And so we also didn't think it made a whole lot of sense to spend a bunch of money on a homeschool curriculum, especially if we both have some experience in education, at least college, at the college level. So we didn't see the point in spending a bunch of money on maybe a Saxon, which is from Bob Jones University, or Becca, which I think is from Pensacola, or even like the Liberty University's program, or stuff like that. So there's a lot of these programs that have homeschooling curriculums. They cost money. We decided to go off a Christian-based program that is free.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was mostly money because I'm going into it, not starting out with like one and, a couple years, another one. It's boom, all three of them are in. And we were looking at even you spending a lot of money if we want to do like a Becca or something like that. So
what's a roundabout price for a Becca?
When I priced it all out, like if I got it used, and I wouldn't have because I was shopping too late, like used was like $1,400 for all three kids.
Yeah.
All their stuff.
Which is basically private school.
It was expensive. And I'm like, I mean, maybe I can afford that now, but I can't afford that. Maybe I can't afford that next year. I don't know. So I was like, well, we'll start with something. So I chose a curriculum online. It's called All-in-One Homeschool. It's Christian based, and there's Bible class. It's a lot like a Becca. Everything's kind of spelled out for you. And but then I thought, well, if it doesn't work, then we could try something next year, or if
Stop shaking the table.
Son of Reed.
There's no earthquakes up in New England. We don't live on a fault. It's just Bethany talking with her hands and pounding on the table at the same time. Which is the same thing you did when you did the podcast, because it'd be on the recording. And I remember in editing, I'd always have to edit your claps and your slaps on the table. But anyways,
I'm expressive when I talk.
I don't mean to interrupt what you're talking about.
Anyways, but the curriculum I chose was mostly because it was free. I mean, I looked through it all and I really prayed about it and thought about it, and I combed through it. I kept showing him. I'm like, well, it's this and it looks like this and this is what you do on this day and this is what we need to do. And so, but I really think that no, there are no snow days in homeschool. I'm going to say
even in New England, even like New England, which would be the benefit of living up here. But on the other hand, you can have as many snow days as you want as long as you make up those days. So like, one of the things we're looking forward to is, for example, I can go to a field trip in Boston if we want to, but so we could like take the Friday off from school and make Saturday, if we went to Boston, a school day and a field trip.
Oh, see, April's doing the high school version of it. I recommended it to her, so yay!
Good.
We'll be doing it together. So, but the other thing I liked too is that it wasn't, I mean, it is structured, but it's not so structured. So like one of the first things that we're covering in history is ancient Egypt. And if the kids are really excited about that or something about ancient Egypt and we want to kind of explore further, well, we can. It's not the end of the world. And we can go back to, we can just kind of pick up where we left off later on. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I really need to just kind of get in there and do it.
Sometimes, like some of the subjects like history, all three kids can be involved with. Some of the subjects like math and reading, they're doing their own separate thing. But like for science and history and stuff, really... Even Bible. And Bible, they can all combine. So the biggest challenge for me, or the part of the curriculum, the thing that bums me out the most is that I'm not going to be involved as much. And I'm super excited about certain things like just teaching my kids and being around. So I'm hoping like the church plant happens so fast and I just start making a decent amount of money from the church where I'm like, oh, cool, I can be home with the kids and do what I should be doing. So so that's cool. Just remember that no matter what you do, homeschool wise or public school wise, you're responsible as a parent. It's actually your obligation to do those things. So just don't worry about other people. We've already heard opinions and stuff like that, which is fine, I guess. People can give their opinions, but don't hang on that opinion so much where you doubt.
Just go, okay,
yeah. Even when we were sending our kids to public school, there'd be a lot of like, really? Public school? You're sending your kids? You guys? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. No, so like just be aware you gotta do what you think is right for your kids. You're the one that's gonna be held accountable for it, not the other parents or whatever. So just do what you... Same thing with like clean eating, I guess. Like it's the same thing. Like I don't care about your opinion about whether, because I went to work the other day and I got people I work with that are watch our videos and stuff. But I said, someone asked me if I want to drink. I was like, yeah, get me a diet soda. I'm like, oh, that's horrible for you. And I think about 50% of the people at work smoke. So I'm like, I'm not... The two biggest killers in America are eating, like overeating and being fat and dying of a heart attack, and smoking and lung cancer. So I'm going to drink diet soda because the last thing I'm worried about is the diet soda killing me. Like I'm not... We're all going to die someday, and at least I'm not going to try not to die of a heart attack. That kind of transitions to our weight loss.
Well, we have a question. how do you plan on juggling different levels for the different ages? And really, I have a teacher plan book, and I'm going to work with them. I have kind of a schedule, but like talking to the kids today, even I said, I think the plan is to kind of do Sunny first and get her out of the way because she's really a smaller chunk. And then the stuff for the older two are actually kind of self-guided, so I can put them where they need to be because it's mostly online, and then they'll have journals and they have some workbooks and stuff. But I can be like, I can set them up and we can kind of go over the day, but then they go off and they read and they're able to do it on their own for the most part. So
yeah, I
don't think they'll ever be smarter than me.
Yeah,
they'll never be smarter than you.
That's one thing I drill into my kids from every age. Doesn't matter. Like, I consistently tell them they're never going to be as smart as me. And that may or may not be true. Since my kids don't watch my podcast, I can tell you guys it's a trick of the trade. As long as you keep them, they're knowing that they're always going to be learning from you, then you don't have to worry about that. They will think, and 15 years old, especially the people doing the high school curriculum, they will think that they're smarter than you. But as long as you keep them humble. You every now and then you ask them some trivia question that they have no idea about, and there's no way they're going to know about. Or
Moses wanted to play my trivia crack game. I'm like, no. You're
I'm not already ruining not my streak.
I know I'm not already not that good. I don't need some 7-year-old to come in.
But in all seriousness, I think part of that being an online system, and part of it having the curriculum set up for each age group, where some of it is self-paced, and you're just kind of looking it up and trying to help them. I think that also helps us too, like. So a lot of people have a hard time with, the elementary school math. And so you say, well, how am I going to teach? How am I going to help them with their homework? Or how am I going to do that? It kind of motivates you to kind of get to know that stuff too.
Well, actually, the curriculum that I use, they go through something called Khan Academy, and they actually have like tutors that you can chat with and stuff like that online. It's all free. All free. And
you don't need to worry about either the crazy things that schools are doing right now as far as teaching. What's it called? Common Core. Some people have problems with Common Core. I'm not going to make an opinion on it. But if you do have a problem with it, this is one way you can get around having to worry about, doing quadrant multiplication or the crazy backwards subtraction and stuff like that they're teaching in the schools. You can teach them the carryover methods that you learned when you were younger. So that helps. So that's homeschool. And feel free to ask more questions. We are monitoring. Actually, if you keep seeing us look down, we're very...
See that blue light right there?
Precariously...
That's the laptop shutting off the cabinet.
Yeah, precariously
be classy like that.
Balancing our cell phone on top of the laptop, so if it falls too, that's...
Want to know what it's balancing against?
Cereal boxes. Yeah. We normally had double-sided tape for it, but again, we're displaced. So I had a question at the end of the last time we did a podcast, and I never got around to answering it. I think it was a very hard question. I think because so often we talk about shows that we watch, and we're always being judged or witnessed about stuff like our entertainment. What are you watching? Have you ever seen the show? And it's something we talk about. So I think as a pastor, I personally, I'm not going to tell you specific shows I watch unless I'm obviously okay with them. I'll tell you my criteria for what shows or movies I will watch, but I'm not going to, because I think here's the thing. If I start telling you that I watch this show, you will start saying, well, he's a pastor, so I can watch this show. And without understanding the criteria or your stumbling block, maybe you have a stumbling block with cursing. Maybe you have a stumbling block with sexuality. Maybe you have a stumbling block with violence. And without knowing your stumbling block or your issue, you have to make that determination on what you're comfortable watching and what you're not. So we'll start with entertainment, and we'll talk about how we choose our entertainment. And I think we both have specific things, and then things we watch together very specifically. So I'll let you go first.
What do you mean choose my entertainment?
How do you choose what you want, what you think is okay to watch, and what you think is not okay to watch from a Christian perspective, I guess?
I mean, I'll try a lot of stuff, but usually if there's a lot of like really I don't know, like implied sexuality is okay. I think and it's, they wake up, they're together.
Like, you can go to church and someone could get pregnant and there's implied sexuality there, right? You just know.
I do not need graphic scenes. Like I don't need to see all that.
I don't even like watching like make-out sessions.
I know,
in the
like,
show.
calm down. We get it, okay?
Like, I only like watching those scenes to see my kids freak out when they watch when they
It's true.
like Spider-Man
Well, even
when
I
he's
think
kissing.
we're kind of awkward. We're like, ooh,
Yeah, we make it so it's funny and not weird. But like when Spider-Man's kissing Mary Jane upside down in the rain or whatever, and that we just watched Spider-Man in our house recently. All the kids were grossed out by it, but like so am I. So like we just like messing with it. So like I guess I would. It's yeah. So I
And
guess
then-
that's one thing.
I get like language affects me, so we can't
Stumbling
watch.
block.
We can't watch the show, The Sopranos.
Yeah, we tried it for a little bit, and I was trying not to mention that we watched it, but that's okay.
A long time ago, but
a long time ago, before I was a deacon. so I'm allowed.
But
No.
at the time was when, you know, like the first time I said like a phrase that I will not repeat here. We were both like, ooh, like what
Why are
just
we
came out
talking
of
like
you?
that? Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why I sound like an Italian mobster just too. And I did it a few more times and I said, okay, I can't
We
watch
know
it.
where the source of this is.
I can't watch that show anymore. I don't know why it rubbed off on me. So apparently I have an issue with things that are potty mouthy. And I kind of have a potty mouth quickly.
Yeah.
If I watch too much of something with profanity in it. So.
Yeah, I think anything that's on like network TV is generally okay depending on my certain criteria. So for an adult that is a Christian that can make determinations about what is right and wrong, I think most of the things that are on TV that aren't in those special category, HBO, Showtime, is generally in the safe zone. There are some language things and some things I try to avoid. I used to watch, for example, in my younger years, we used to watch South Park an awful lot. I have, for whatever reason, been very convicted about not watching it. Because I feel like anything that I say, well, that's just a guilty pleasure, should be something that, if it's a guilty pleasure, it's literally in the category of something I should not watch. But my criteria for any type of entertainment, this music, movies, all of it, is, as a Christian, we understand what good behavior and bad behavior are. So we know what's right and wrong. And so I think if any show depicts good behavior as a bad thing, it's not a show that should be watched. A good example is like Glee. There are characters in that show that are trying to abstain from sex or trying to abstain from alcohol or trying to do certain things, and they're looked at in a negative light, as opposed to the ones that seem more open-minded, being the characters you want to idolize or saying they're doing the right thing. Another good example generally is so on the same token, any bad behavior that's looked at as an okay thing is something I'm not a big fan with. So for example, you have shows that promote promiscuity or promote cheating, even at the high school level, that promote lying or any of those things, disobedience. And
That one, if it's a cheating,
the show's
anybody?
straight up.
I'm like, nope, done, because I'm
Unless-
angry.
Only if it's a shameful or negative thing will I say okay. But very often it's not that way. It's looked at as a forbidden love type thing, or it's looked at as a positive.
Yeah.
So,
Follow your heart.
yeah, so when positive behaviors are looked at as negative attributes or qualities, or negative behaviors are looked at positive qualities, those are shows I don't get, or music for that matter, I don't get into. So that kind of leads us to one of the things we would like to start doing, and obviously we only have a couple people watching, and maybe people will watch, but I think we'll give them a deadline by Wednesday or by Thursday if you've watched this. We want to start doing a kind of a movie review for people who watch this, Christian parents, or even couples who want to see. Please don't put too many romantic comedies on here, because I'm going to be, I think the majority of people who like this page are women. I'm going to be brutally slaughtered with rated PG-13 romantic like movies.
And you don't want, if you really like the movie, like,
You don't want me to watch
he
them.
will ruin it for you.
So yeah, I will ruin movies. So we do have.
And he has no shame. There's no shame in his
Okay.
game. He's like, burn
Never
it.
watch it again. Yeah. So so what we want you all to do is give us recommendations about current movies that are out and rated
Or
PG.
old movies.
Old movies, yeah, any movie really that's PG-13 and below, that you would like us to watch and give you a review. It could be a Disney movie, it could be a mainstream kind of movie, live action or whatever. Maybe you want your perspective on what we believe about kids. and what we want to watch with just as a couple, or your opinion on certain comedies or something like that. We may have already seen it. So yeah, we'll give you our honest opinion about those movies, their watchability. Maybe we'll rate them like 1 to 5 S's for Smith.
Stop.
Yeah, I will come up with some weird rating system that makes no sense at all and figure out how to do that.
And it won't be accurate.
April asks, have you ever heard of Clear Play? It's a device that helps shield from, well, if you're still watching, shield from that. Shield from what specifically? Language or sexuality or what? But I have not heard of Clear Play. Have you?
I've heard of something. No, I don't think that's it.
I think there's certain
It was
modes.
like Circle, where you could control like the kids' tablets and stuff, and like shut it off. Bloop. I think I did one of those.
So another thing you all can know about us, we don't do regular TV. I have NFL Game Pass because I'm a big football fan, and that's the only sport that Bethany will let me watch on a regular basis before it gets annoying.
The sport that he really likes.
I like UFC, but like that can get crazy.
I
know you like UFC, but it's expensive.
It is expensive.
So
I like UFC though.
we have NFL.
Until they're like rolling around in each other like blood and sweat, and
That's the best part. No.
You set settings that are specific to you. No, I haven't heard of it, but I will look into it.
Yeah, so we have
you.
NFL Game Pass, we have Hulu, we have Netflix, and we have Amazon Prime. So those are the ones that we watch.
Your phone says to go to bed.
It tells me to go to bed, so we're gonna get ready to go to bed soon. But the so those are things we watch specifically. So if it's kind of in those realms, and we do rent movies on Amazon and stuff like that to watch, but we don't watch regular TV just because it costs money. Tell us what you think about it. About if you do get Clear Play and buy it. I'm not sure how it works, or if it's like a.
I'm gonna look into it.
But yeah, she'll find out. But if you get it, tell us what you think about it. And then, give us some movie recommendations. Give us some stuff to watch. I think we're going to do like an 80s movie thing in
our first weekend in our own house.
In our new house, we're going to be watching a lot of classic 80s movies in preparation for me. Ready Player One. I just finished that book, and it's one of my favorite books I've ever read.
So we're going to watch some classics that weekend, and that's
that I
going to be
haven't
what
seen.
we do.
Yeah. So that really concludes.
Because we're cool.
Super cool, and we were born in the 80s. So, and we watch a lot of Goldbergs.
That is a good show.
It's a good show.
The Goldbergs.
Yeah, I could recommend that. They beep out certain swear words, and you know what those swear words are. But I think a lot of it is. Here's the thing about cursing and those types of things, and I guess in a certain aspect, you know that we watched Stand By Me last night. It was not kid friendly. Have you seen that Stand By Me?
I don't know.
We watched Kindergarten Cop. Here's the thing. I remember growing up as a kid, and I watched Kindergarten Cop, and it was a, I think I recall Stand By Me. I just can't remember the premise. But I watched that movie as a kid, and I remember distinctly watching it and loving it, because thinking it was a great movie. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this with my kids. And I realized that movie has some stuff, what is it, blue? Was that the word for like when it's kind of off color? When it's kind of just not the kind of thing you want your little kids to watch?
We were kind of surprised that the rating was as low as it was. Because we were like, whoa.
How did they get away with this? And you realize that in the 80s, the rating system is not quite what the rating system is here. Yeah. And it's weird because the culture now you'd think is a little bit more lax than it was then. But it's not. It's not more lax, at least the rating systems.
4 teenagers set in the 60s, produced in 86. No, but look into
Oh,
it.
no, yes. Yes. It has that one very famous scene where the kid is running from the train on the bridge, and he's got to outrun the train, and he trips, and one of the other kids go back for him and help him. It's a very famous scene, and I think there's something about...
That sounds terrifying.
Witnessing a dead guy or something. I can't remember what it is, but I've seen clips from it just pop culture references.
Maybe we'll watch it on our 80s movie weekend.
It was not kid friendly, so we can't watch it with our kids. Okay. But it was, yeah.
Then you go to bed.
That's why we're doing this now. You can't hear them. So they're all
in bed. They kind of put themselves to bed. We've reached a point in that age where they're like, well, we're tired, so we're just going to bed. We're like, okay, see
Praise the Lord. Yeah, so that's our new thing. We would like to have something to talk about next week as far as movies concerned. We have some current event stuff we'd like to talk about. A little bit about the stuff going on in Charlottesville, maybe. And
Who knows? Something else might happen.
or other interesting things. The eclipse. We're going to talk a little bit about eclipse prophecies and how I don't even think about making them, and all that stuff. So we have some stuff ready for next Monday, and feel free, if you're not watching this live, to leave comments or questions, and we'll try and answer them as soon as we can. So have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
Peace out.
Peace out. Really?
Yeah, I did.